Hi guys, today I'm going to be making a burn bowl from unsuitable bits of wood. In the past I've made a burn bowl from a nice piece of dry wood like this. This is the bowl I made. However, today I'm going to see if I can make a burn bowl from bits of wood that wouldn't usually be suitable for making a burn bowl from. For example, I'm going to be using this green bit of wood here. You don't usually use green wood because when all the water evaporates from the wood, the green wood shrinks a lot more than a piece of dry wood would. And when the green wood shrinks more, it's more likely to crack. I'm also going to be using slightly rotten bits of wood like this. And another difficulty I might have with this is that it's actually quite small. So I'm going to be seeing if I can get a good enough bowl to boil water in a survival situation. So I've got a few other pieces of wood. I've got this bit here that's slightly rotten and has lots of wormholes in. I've got another rotten piece here and I've got another one as well. In the past I've put coals on top of the log to burn a section out, but today I've decided to place the part of the log that I want to get burnt actually on top of the fire, because I think this will be a lot quicker. Okay, the logs have been on the fire now for about 20 minutes and we're making good progress. For this log here, I decided to put coals on the log here instead of trying to burn this big rotten bit of the log off, because I think it'll be quicker doing it this way. Okay, I've now managed to get 3 logs of about the right size. This log is going a bit slower, which confirms that putting a log in the fire is faster than putting the coals on the top. And my big green log is still burning, and it's definitely burning slower than the other logs because it's green. To move the coals, I'm going to be using this split piece of hazel with a stick wedged in there that I've tied with bark to stop it moving about. I forgot to mention, but it took about an hour and a half to burn through these logs here. I've now put some coals on, so I'm just going to gently blow to hopefully get the log underneath to start burning a bit. Oh, you don't want to blow too hard or that happens, but as you can see, the log underneath started to burn a bit. So it's been burning for maybe 10 minutes now, so I'm just going to scratch out a trench for the coals to sit in, so that when I blow on the coals they don't roll about. Here you can see I've put some wet mud along the edge, so this is going to stop the hole spreading outwards. Okay, I managed to snap this stump off, so now I can start burning a bowl into this log as well. Okay guys, a bit of an update on how my bowls are going. I've just gone and had a lunch break. I left the coals in there. So it's getting a bit deeper now. I'm only scraping away the very bottom part just to stop the coals burning outwards as much. This one's doing alright as well. This one's doing alright as well. This one hasn't really started yet, but it's got a little ridge going already. Finally, this bit's burnt all the way through nearly. I might just snap that off. Now if there are flames when you're using the coals to burn your bowl, there's a chance that your bowl might crack because there's too much heat. So just keep them smoking but not flaming. Obviously when you blow on it there might be a bit of flame, but that usually goes away, so I think that's fine. See, it's gone. So I finally burnt through that big green log. However, as you can see, I put this bit too close to the fire, so it sort of burnt it. So I've now got a narrower piece than I would have liked. However, it's still possible to make a burn bowl from this. When I feel like it's burning the sides too much, I get this damp piece of moss and just dab it along the sides to stop them burning. The annoying thing about having the mud on the sides is that every time you replace the coals, the mud falls off, so you have to replace it, so sometimes I just prefer to dab it with this damp moss here. Okay, so I'm just going to talk through the routine I'm going through at the moment. So first of all, I put the coals into the place where I want it to burn. I then blow on the coals so that the log underneath starts to burn with the coals. Then I leave it for about 20 minutes. I'm close by, so every now and then I check to see if the sides are burning or if it's not got enough coals, so I put more in. If the sides are burning, I either put some mud on the side, some wet mud, or I also dab it with a piece of wet moss. Then after 20 minutes, I tip out the coals. Then with a sharp rock, I scrape away the part of the bowl that I want to remove. Also, with a project like this, it's useful to have multiple bowls going at the same time in case one breaks, because it doesn't take much effort to have more than one bowl going at the same time. Okay, so I've been burning the holes where the water sits for maybe about 3 hours now. This one's getting a bit deeper. This one's probably the deepest so far. This one's doing okay as well. And actually, this wood burns really easily, so it's got quite deep. The method of boiling water in a burn bowl is to put rocks in a fire so that they're really hot, and then move the rocks into the water, and this will make the water boil. Sometimes you'll have to take some rocks out of the water and put new hot ones in to get it to boiling temperature, and also to keep it boiling for a longer period of time. Some rocks though apparently explode in the fire. It's basically when water inside the rock is heated really quickly, it turns into steam which expands, and this pressure can cause a rock to explode open. I think it's quite rare for this explosion to be forceful enough to injure someone, but even if it's not a porous rock, so water doesn't soak into it, there can still be tiny fractures or cracks in the rock for water to get into. To prevent the rocks exploding, you can slowly move the rocks closer and closer to the fire so they dry out. Okay, so now this bowl's burnt enough, the wool's getting quite thin, and also I know that the outer layer of this wood is rotten, so I don't want to go too close to that rotten wood. So I'm now going to scrape off all the charred area with this rock here. Another thing you can do to get rid of all the charred stuff is to get some sand, put it in, and then with a small piece of bark or anything you can find, just rub the sand against the wall. This acts as sandpaper. It doesn't have to be brown, it can still be black, it's just that anything you don't rub off might go in your water a bit, so you might be drinking a bit charred water, but that's fine. As I said, the outside of this bowl is slightly rotten, and annoyingly, there's a small hole right there. I have kept this bowl though, because in the future I may be able to patch this with some pine resin glue. I'm actually using a mixture of moss and mud to stop the sides burning. I do this because I find it holds together much better than just mud, but it also doesn't burn like when it's only moss, so it's kind of a combination of both. Okay, so I've got an hour of daylight left. I'm now going to scrape all the wood out so that I'm left with a nice clean bowl, and then I'm going to boil some water in it. Okay, so in the 7 hours I've been doing this, I've managed to get 3 usable bowls out of it. This log here, it's not big enough, so I haven't bothered scraping it out. I might finish it next week. This was the green log. It was the best size log out of all the logs I tried today. So I managed to get a nice big bowl out of it. However, because it was green and because it was a bit bigger, it took a lot longer to burn through. However, I think it's produced the best bowl. Also, I used coals, not fire, so it didn't crack on me. This is a very thin bowl that I made here. So it does show you can use small small logs as well. However, the sides did burn. I did end up putting wet moss and mud on it. However, I didn't put it on early enough, so it did burn a bit. So that's going to lose a lot of water out the sides. This one here is about middle width. Also here, I let it burn a bit. So you've just got to be careful. Okay, so I've rinsed this bowl out a few times just to get rid of all the charred wood. And now I'm going to put the hot rocks in, hopefully boil it, and then drink it. I just give the rocks a blow before I put it in, to get rid of any ash. Okay, that's boiling nicely. When the boil starts to slow, take the rocks out, add a few more in. Jeez. I'm not actually sure how long you're supposed to boil water for it to be safe to drink, so I'm just going to keep boiling it. Right, I'm actually going to have no water left if I keep boiling it. But that worked pretty well. Bit of rock in that. The rocks did crack a little bit, but I didn't hear any explosions. It tastes a bit odd, but it's bearable, to be honest. It's not that bad. I'm now going to see how much water each of these containers holds. Bear in mind that once you've boiled this and rocks have been put in it, it's going to be probably significantly less water. That was 400 millilitres. This one's 200 millilitres. And this one's 200 millilitres as well.